Hello and welcome to the second lesson of business for grade 11. In this video, I am going to explain you about entrepreneurial motives and characteristics. As we have already done the entrepreneurial roles, now we will move on to the entrepreneurial motives and characteristics. Moving on to the characteristics first. Now, what do you mean by entrepreneurial characteristics? Now, when we say entrepreneurial characteristics, it is the personality traits possessed by a person while setting up and running a business. So, we will see one by one what are those characteristics that a person have to possess while setting up a business. The first entrepreneurial characteristic we are going to discuss is self-confidence. They believe they are going to succeed. They think they have a winning formula for their business. They can persuade other people to buy product or help finance their product. Now, self-confidence is a very important entrepreneurial characteristic, meaning it's not only for an entrepreneur, even if for a salesperson. When he sell a product, if he is not confident in the product or the service that he is selling, then it will be difficult to persuade the customers. Customer won't be satisfied with the product or the service if the seller is not confident. So, in the same way, the entrepreneur, he or she should be confident in the product or the business what he is going to sell. The next one, self-determination. They think they can take control of events going around them. They can influence those events and turn them into something that benefits their business. So, one should be determined in doing the business. Whatever business they are doing, they have to show their determination. Moving on to the next one, being a self-starter. As you know that there will be a lot of decisions that has to be taken in a business. So, the one who is setting up the business should be capable enough to take a decision, and he should take the initiative to start with that whatever decision he has taken. So, being a self-starter, they are able to work independently and can take the decisions. They have their own ideas about how things should be done, and they are able to develop those ideas. Moving on to the next one, judgment. A business environment is changing all the time. A successful entrepreneur is someone who gathers information and listening to advices. At the same time, they are able to see where the business might go in the future and what they want out of the business. This helps them to make judgments and decisions. Judgment is understanding where the business is now and what will happen to it if the environment changes. As we know that the external environment is changing rapidly. So, according to the changes in the external environment, what changes would happen to the business and how should business respond to that? So, that has to be decided by the entrepreneur because the external environment is changing. So, a lot of decision has to be taken according to the changing environment. The next characteristics that we are going to discuss is commitment. Many people think when starting up a business that it is going to be easier than working for someone else. Running your own business can sometimes be more stressful because of the risks that are always present. So, successful entrepreneurs are the ones who are committed to what they do. When discussing this point, I would like to include an example of Mark Zuckerberg. You might have heard the CEO of Facebook. It is said that he is the first person to enter the office and the last one to go out of his office. So, that shows the commitment of that entrepreneur. So, don't think that it is easy to work for someone, easy to set up a business than working for other organization, because when you work as an employee, you have a working time, maybe 8 to 9 or 8 to 5. So, there will be a working time, but for an entrepreneur, you may not have that working time. You will be more committed to the organization. The next one is perseverance. There is always an element of risk that their business could perform poorly or even fail. Therefore, successful entrepreneurs have to be able to get through bad times and the setbacks. So one should have the ability to persevere, as there are a lot of risk associated with a business. As I already discussed with you, a lot of unexpected external factors could affect the business. Sometimes the business might face some loss. The entrepreneur should be able to come up from all these bad times. The next one, initiative. A successful entrepreneur are able to take the initiative in situation. They do not allow events to overwhelm them by doing nothing. They are able to change and proactive. So one should take initiative whenever they get some opportunities. Now, opportunities won't be there every time, so whenever an opportunity hits, that has to be explored. So these are some of the characteristics that we have discussed. Now moving on to the skills required by entrepreneurs. Now what is the difference between the characteristics and the skills required by an entrepreneur? When we say characteristics, as I told you, it is the personality traits, and skills are something that can be learned or it can be developed through training. So characteristics are innate, or we can say it is inborn talents, whereas skills can be learned or it can be possessed and developed through training. Now let us see some of the skills required by entrepreneurs. Organizing. In a business, there are a lot of things that has to be organized. As we discussed during the role of entrepreneur while we were discussing, organizing the factors of production was one of the key role of an entrepreneur. And we have also discussed what are the different factors of production that has to be organized. So that organizing skill has to be developed by the entrepreneur. This involves organizing and coordinating a wide range of resources in order to get the business up and running. In the organization role, entrepreneurs will be planning, scheduling, giving instructions, prioritizing, setting up systems, monitoring time management, and meeting deadlines. Financial management. The main aim of financial management is to make sure that the business has enough money whenever it is needed. This might involve budgeting, cash flow forecasting, chasing debts, keeping up to date financial records, arranging loans and overdrafts, and analyzing financial information. At the initial stage of a business, the financial management would be done by the entrepreneur itself, and maybe later on there will be financial departments, but still they should have a knowledge about the financial management, because finance is an important resource for a business. So as an entrepreneur, he should know from where they can source the finance, how they can keep the record of the transactions. Moving on to the next skill, communication. Entrepreneurs will need to interact with wide range of stakeholders. Entrepreneurs will need to develop effective face-to-face communication skills to deal directly with people. Now, as we have discussed, entrepreneurs have to deal with a lot of stakeholders, such as the suppliers, customers, banks, the government officials. So to interact effectively with all these stakeholders, an entrepreneur should possess good communication skills. For example, negotiating with a supplier regarding the price of their materials. One should have good communication skills. To obtain a bank loan from a bank, again there should be some communication skills in order to project the business will be able to repay and the risk for the bank is lower. So such communication skills would help while communicating with all these stakeholders for different needs. Charm, courtesy, confidence, professionalism, and convincing manner are all useful entrepreneurial qualities. Entrepreneurs might also be required to write letters, memos, and reports, fill in form, and design documents for both internal and external use. Presentation skills might also be needed. So, communication is used for different purposes like preparing the letters, preparing memos, reports, conducting meetings. So, for both external and internal communication, this particular skill, that is communication skill, is very important. Moving on to the next, managing people. Individuals are all different and may require different approaches to motivate. Entrepreneurs need to recruit right people in the first place and then show clear direction and leadership. So, managing people effectively is a difficult task. And as an entrepreneur, they have to perform this task very effectively because the people working in an organization plays an important role in the success of that firm. So, while recruiting, the entrepreneur have to make sure that they are recruiting the best who fits for the organization. So, therefore, managing people is very important for the business, and not only recruiting, maintaining them and managing them. They have to make sure that the labor turnover is lower, meaning they have to keep motivating the employees whom they have recruited, providing proper training at times. So, all these have to be managed effectively to get the best from the employees. Decision making, a very important skills that can be learned from the experience. Most decisions are about low level, day-to-day issues such as what materials or stock to order. In contrast, a small number of decisions are strategic. So, decision making, we can classify them into two, the tactical ones and the strategic decisions. Tactical decisions are the low level decisions taken or in a day-to-day basis, which are of less important, whereas strategic decisions are taken at the top level, which are of more important. So, it is important to take the right decision at the right time. This can go to, if a mistake has happened in the decision making, it can even lead to a business failure. So, it is very important to take the right decision at the right time. These are important and can have long-term effect on the business. For example, whether to move premises to a new location. Decision making and problem solving requires entrepreneur to process, analyze and evaluate information. Some examples of decision making has given here, whether to move the premises to a new location or not, a very important decision. If there is a mistake happens to this, maybe it could end up with a failure. Another skill is negotiating skill. This often means agreeing the terms of contract, such as agreeing a price for undertaking some work or completing an order for a customer. There are many circumstances that an entrepreneur has to negotiate with some stakeholders, as I discussed already, to the bank, maybe to the supplier, or maybe to a customer. So, to all these stakeholders, they may have to negotiate regarding the prices or regarding the interest rate of a loan or regarding the raw material prices. Entrepreneurs need to be able to get their points across in a calm and confident manner, develop arguments with reasoning, know when to compromise, and try to arrive at a settlement that is agreeable to both parties. IT skills, for example, they might need to communicate with stakeholders using email or conference calling. set up a business website and provide a system for online purchases, use specialist software for designing products, designing documents such as invoices, order forms, job descriptions, expense claim forms, flyers and newsletters. So, these IT skills are also very important for an entrepreneur. Now, moving on to the motives, that is reasons why people set up businesses. So far we were discussing about the characteristics and the skills of an entrepreneur. Now, we are moving on to the reasons why people set up businesses. That means the motives of an entrepreneur. Broadly, we can classify them into two: the financial motives and the non-financial motives. Undoubtedly, we can say that most of the businesses have some financial motives, whereas few businesses, they will also have non-financial motives. Now, from here it is very clear that the financial motives of an entrepreneur can be profit maximization or profit satisficing. The non-financial motives include ethical stance, independence, social enterprise, home working. Let's first have a look at the financial motives. Two approaches to making profit can be identified. Profit maximization. Some entrepreneurs try to make as much profit as possible in a given period of time. This is known as profit maximization. Entrepreneurs who try to maximize profit are likely to take bigger risk. The higher the risk is taken, the higher profit is likely to make. So, most of the entrepreneurs, they would like to keep on making or maximizing their profit. And another approach is profit satisfying. So, profit satisfying is some entrepreneurs may aim to take just enough profit to maintain their interest in the business. So, they may not be aiming to keep on increasing the profit, but they will set a particular target level of profit that they have to achieve. And once they achieve that, they will be satisfied with that, and then they will just run the business. They do this because they do not want to take an extra responsibility of expanding their business. This type of business allows owners to spend more time pursuing their interest with family. Now, moving on to the non-financial motives. Ethical stance. Now, before moving on to the ethical motive, what do you mean by an ethics or ethical stance? Ethical stance is doing according to the moral responsibility or doing what is morally right. A minority of people set up a business in support of a moral belief they possess. For example, a vegetarian who believes that it is wrong to kill animals for meat may open up a vegetarian restaurant. By encouraging more people to use the restaurant, particularly if non-vegetarians can be attracted, fewer animals can be killed. Moving on to the next, non-financial motives. Social enterprise. These are organizations that trade with the aim of improving human and environmental well-being. They are sometimes referred to as not-for-profit organization. Sometimes some businesses they operate for the well-being of the environment or maybe improving the human. Social enterprise have a clear social or environmental mission and generate most of their income through trade or donations. Fair trade is an example. It markets products produced by small scale farmers and workers who are excluded from trade in a variety of ways. Fair trade ensures that these people get a better price for their products such as coffee. There are a lot of examples having this particular motive, that is non-financial motive. Now, one example I would like to say is Coffee Bean. It's a business who produces energy from coffee waste. So, they collect the waste of coffee and they make use of this waste to produce energy. So, their aim is to reduce the environmental impact from coffee waste. And now another example, the fair trade. Generally, it is a term that says more amount is being given to the producers than the market price. So, that is improving the life of human. Maybe some farmers are being exploited by some businesses by giving very low price for their produce. So, rather than doing this, some businesses they give a bit higher price for the supplies to the producers, giving a higher price and improving the human. Yet another non-financial motives, independence. A lot of people want to be their own boss. The freedom to make all the decisions when running a business is very appealing. Some people dislike being told what to do at work. Yeah. Now, this could be another reason of setting up a business, to be their own boss. Maybe some people, they may not like to obey someone or to get insisted by someone. So, in that case, people might start their own business. So, that could be another reason. Home working. They may be tradespeople such as plumbers, painters or electricians that use their home as a base for their business. So, for some, they can work from home such as designers or painters, etc. So, they can spend their quality time with their family. At the same time, they can have an earning through working for someone. There are two key benefits for them. The time and expense spent traveling to and from work is eliminated. They also enjoy flexibility. For example, they can take meals and breaks whenever they want. So, they don't have a clear working schedule. They can work whenever they want and they can have a break. So, these are the different entrepreneurial characteristics and motives. Thank you and have a nice day.